Thank you guys for staying and hanging out. Unity on the Path is part of Awakening Under the Sun. And Dr. Clayton was asked to be one of the speakers at the event. And over the last about a month, we've been contacting back and forth. And I said, I'll invite you to my church. You got a good message, I like it. And so I invited my family to hang out. So he's a OYGBN surgeon, doctor, and he's discovered love and healing and how it works. And one of the things I had asked him to talk about, I said, the first thing we're gonna want to know about is COVID. He said, I don't talk about COVID. I said, thank you. So he's gonna talk about love and healing and how we can walk through what's going on in the world and how we can be able to function more alive and more alert in this consciousness. So Dr. Clayton, you can tell them about who you are and what you've been through and your journey.
I certainly will.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for coming today. It's my pleasure to be here. I met Linda, as she said, about a month ago in the process of coming to Awakening Into the Sun to speak last night. And we had a great event at the Women's Center. It was amazing to connect with people that were like-minded, people that believed in higher consciousness, people that believed in faith, people that believed in love. And I'm honored to be here with you guys today. I'm honored to represent Linda. She's been my guide in my time here in St. Pete's, and she's taken care of me and my family very, very well, and thank you for this invitation. And the first thing I want to say is what a magnificent city you guys have. I live in Los Angeles, California, and we're not bad. We're not bad. But this has an ease, a way about it that appeals to us all. I can feel the gentle breeze coming off the Gulf. The weather is absolutely perfect. And here, what I've seen is that most people seem to have transcended this pandemic that has affected us. And truly, the pandemic has affected us all in a very profound way. Let's not forget the people that have suffered, the people that have contracted this virus, the people that have passed on, and we acknowledge those lives lost, and we bless their transition. But now is the time for healing and change. We've endured the storm. COVID has came and COVID has left. Before COVID, we were still suffering rising rates of anxiety, rising rates of depression, rising rates of drug addiction, rising rates of suicide. And COVID, all it did was magnify that. It was generally a pandemic of fear, a pandemic of stress, and I think we all felt it. But here in St. Petersburg, I feel free. I feel fantastic. I feel like we're through to the other side. But that leaves us with what we've talked about, our emotional trauma from this pandemic. And my message here today is that it's possible to recover. Whatever you're suffering through in your life, whatever you're going through, whatever financial struggles you have right now, whatever struggles you have in dealing with the regrets of your life, the guilt, the shame, the blame, the pressing needs of today can be transcended. And I have to tell you a little bit about myself. I was raised in the south side of Chicago by two loving parents. My mother, Dolly, as she liked to be called, was a very bright spirit. She was super, super positive, and she shared a message of love and kindness with me at a very early age. And I adopted that, and I've used love and kindness to operate through my life. And I literally used that message to go through medical school, to become a surgeon, to write books, and now to be here speaking to you. And those same messages of love and kindness that my mother taught, my father taught a little bit different message. He was a printer, and he taught a message of hard work and perseverance and family. So together, my mother and father were heroes. And the same message that they have, I use to apply to my wife to attract my soulmate. We have a beautiful family of 4 children. And those are the principles that I stand here on to transfer to you. I implore you to use in your life. They're freeing techniques. I largely operate my life of abundance through 6 principles, and I call them the 6 P's, and one is path. Path is you're always on your spiritual path. Your spiritual path is right here. It's at your feet. It never deviates. Whether you're going through light times or whether you're going through dark times, your spiritual path is right here. But your spiritual path also depends on how often you connect with your inner spirit. Some people call it different things. Some people call it your inner giant. Some people call it your divine self. Some people call it your inner nature or your truth. And I'm here to tell you that whatever you call it, don't leave it behind. When I talk to some people, it seems as if their whole life they've never made an attempt to empower their greater self. And my message here to you today is to empower your greater self. Your greater self is your divine nature that's given by the Creator. Whether you call it God, whether you call it Jehovah, whether you call it Buddha, whether you pray to Jesus, whatever it is, there's a part of you that's infinite and everlasting, an energetic nature to you. It circulates in your circulation and it infuses your very being. And the way that I like to do it is I like to do it through my breath. And if you'll all do me the honor of taking a breath with me, inhale and exhale. Inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. This breathing technique, ironically, is the same breath that you were brought into this world by your mother. This is the same breath I teach to my female patients in how to deliver labor, how to allow pain to transfer through your body and out into the world. Your breath is your key to your life. Your breath is the bridge between your body, your mind, and your infinite soul. So I implore you to use your breath. And when I speak about you're always on your path, you're always on the spiritual path of evolving. So don't leave your soul behind. The next P is purpose. We're all here with a special gift. That special gift is locked into an area of our being that I call the sacred heart, the spiritual dimension of your heart that contains your soul. And our job in life, if there is a job, is to find your divine gift. Because when we find our divine gift, everything transitions to a life of ease and effortlessness. You're here to deliver your gift. Don't let your gift die. The great Les Brown once said, "The richest place on earth is the graveyard because that's where dreams go to die." And I implore you, don't let your dreams go to the graveyard and die. While you're here on earth, you're here to unveil the gift that you have. No one else has it. It's what's special about you. It's what tickles your soul. If you're an artist and you draw, then draw. Perhaps you're meant to teach others. If you're a guitar player, then play your music, play your song. Whatever it is that you do great is a key to finding this purpose. As I like to say, a bus to nowhere goes nowhere. So know where you're going in life. The other P is persistence. We have to learn to persist in life. We have to learn how to persevere because storms are going to come. Tough times are going to come in your life. Whether you're grieving the loss of a relationship, whether you're grieving the loss of a friend, whether you're grieving the transition of a family member, or grieving the loss of a fortune, or changing jobs, changing cities, stress, worry, and fear occupy us. They come in waves, these storms. But through each storm, there is an exit. No storm lasts forever. That's the nature of a storm. It passes through. See yourself passing through whatever it is that you're suffering from. You can do it. Never give up. In California, I like to body surf a little bit, and the waves are kind of rough. And sometimes you get knocked down when you face a wave head on. It can really knock you to your knees, and sometimes in the midst of getting up, another wave comes. Am I right? Has anyone experienced that? But the beauty of it is that sometimes storms come in your life to change your direction. You see, dark times are fertile ground for growth and transformation. So know that whatever's happening to you in your life, whatever it is that you're going through, whatever it is that you're troubling you right now, today, realize that it will pass. And if you look at a storm, if you look up into the sky, somewhere in that vision, you can see light. Because there's always light coming after a storm. Find the light. Take small steps each and every day. Sometimes in the midst of a storm, you think it'll never end. But what we have to do is to keep moving forward every single time. And sometimes a storm is a cause for pivoting. By pivoting, I mean sometimes when I'm body surfing in the ocean, if I take a wave head on, it'll really knock you down. But if you just turn to the side, what happens? You just kind of slice through the storm, slice through the wave. And it's less resistance. And the resistance is due to your change in position. Change your position to faith. Change your position to faith. Faith is the evidence of things unseen. You have to believe in things that you cannot even see. Believe in miracles. Believe that you can transcend your trouble. And another P is passion. When you find your passion in life, you find your purpose. Passion and purpose are linked. And finally, the other P, the last P, is a word called presence. How many people know what I'm talking about? Presence is not a word. Presence is a dimension. It's a vertical dimension. It's a literal elevator up to the very being of source energy. And your connection with presence is what will establish how you go through your life. The more that we're present, the more we're connected to our inner nature. You see, presence is a dimension of silence. It's a dimension of stillness. It's a dimension beyond words, beyond thought, and beyond emotion. It's even a dimension that transcends everything. It transcends words. It's a dimension of silence and stillness. And the way that I implore people to connect with presence is through their breath. Once again, inhale deeply and exhale completely. That simple nature of settling in to the very essence of who we are establishes us in the moment. There's an exercise that I do every day called mindfulness. And I do this mindfulness in a walk. And when I walk in mindfulness, I operate with the simple purpose of activating my 5 senses. My sense of sight, my sense of smell, my sense of taste, my sense of touch, my sense of hearing. And so when I go out in my walk, I can hear a bird outside. Perhaps I can hear a lawnmower starting, perhaps a car passing by. But the key is not to pay attention to the sounds that you hear, because the dimension of presence is a dimension of silence and stillness. So we're hearing these sounds, but we're not focusing our attention there. Our attention is on our breathing and on ourself. The first thing that I do is I look up into the sky and I locate the sun. The sun is our symbolic source of this planet. For if the sun were to go out, the planet would go dark and cold, and our bodies would run cold and we would all perish. So we have to absorb this beautiful energy from the sun. Feel the rays of the sun against your skin. Feel it actually warming your body. The other thing that I do is I pay attention to my steps, because with each step you take, you impact the surface of the earth. It'll never be the same. But likewise, the earth is sending energy up through the soles of your feet to energize you through its electromagnetic charge. So this is called grounding. We want to ground ourselves through our walking. The other thing you want to do is you want to smell the beautiful fragrances that are around you. They're beautiful flowers to be had on this journey. Don't forget to enjoy the journey. The purpose of this life is joy. The essence of a flower is its bloom and its fragrance. And your smell is your most powerful sense, because your olfactory nerve is what connects to your brain. So smell the beautiful essence of the flowers that are around you. This is its very stimulating nature. And in the end result, you can touch this beautiful flower and feel its fragility. A flower is symbolic of our short time here on earth. We're here to enjoy the moment. When we arrive in the moment of presence, the past doesn't matter. the future doesn't matter. We're only in the present moment. And the present moment, the reason why it's so perfect, the reason why it's so necessary, is the present moment is the moment where all change takes place, where all creation takes place. And this beautiful church was created in the present moment. Someone planned for this church. This beautiful world that we live in, everything was created in the present moment. And this present moment is so magical because we can embrace it right now. And additionally, present moment is where all healing takes place. So if you have something to heal, you got to heal it from where you are right now. That's the beauty of life. Presence is amazing. The book that we're talking about today is Love and Healing. As a surgeon and as a physician, I became disenchanted with medicine, conventional medicine. You see, I was only able to touch or heal one person at a time. I was only able to operate on one person at a time. And I realized that out of the 1 million prescriptions that I've ever written, that none of them heal the root cause of any of these patients' suffering. Conventional medicine is just a Band-Aid. So I felt that I had to go out into the world and employ you all and empower you all as healers yourself. The message here is self-healing. Healer, heal thyself. So what I did is I put together a program that I call Inner Restorative Healing. And it requires 3 things. It requires you, the patient, you, the healer, and source energy. Undefeatable combination. And I employed all the ancient and spiritual healing techniques that are already available to us. I'll give you some examples. The healing of water. It's amazing. Has anyone ever been in a waterfall before and had that waterfall hit them in the back? Mm-hmm. And all the ancient particles and intelligence of the divine water actually feeling cleansed. Last night at Awakening into the Sun, we had a sound bath therapy where literally the gentleman was rubbing Tibetan sound bowls, generating tremendous vibration, musical notes that were passing through your body. And the thing is that it was changing the very nature of how we're put together. My favorite healing technique is massage therapy. I don't know if I have any massage enthusiasts here, but I love to be rubbed. And through rubbing, the energetic nature of us shifts. We become flexible. We become able to shed the fear, the resistance that we're holding in our body. Acupuncture therapy, smile therapy. I want everybody to turn around and smile at someone. Lower your mask for just a second, or smile with your eyes if you're uncomfortable. The amazing thing about smile therapy is it changes people's energetic nature instantaneously. It's an infusion, and it's infectious. And did you see the joy that came into the building? It lifts us all. Be a smile collector in your life. Through each interaction that you have, smile at someone, leave them better off than you found them. How beautiful. One of my favorite is hugging therapy. In the book is an exercise called the hugging exercise. And it's really the anatomy of a good hug. Most people don't know how to give a good hug. Some people don't feel comfortable being touched. That's okay. But did you know that when you hug, you're supposed to go heart to heart? Mm-hmm. The heart has beautiful electrophysiological transmissions that we touch one another. Even from this distance, I can feel each of one of your heartbeats. That's the nature of feeling one another. Some people, when they hug, they want to end the hug by slapping you on the back real hard. What's that? It's a reflection of their uncomfortability with being close in proximity. So a hug is always gentle, a loving embrace, sending warm energy to one another, feeling their hearts. You're forever changed. And what the COVID pandemic did was it separated us. It didn't allow us to do that. So we suffered. And in this suffering, we have to heal. Which brings us to the healing aspect of love and healing. And the first aspect is self-analysis. I empower each one of you guys to be a diagnostician, which means to diagnose what you're suffering from. Are you suffering from your past? Are you suffering from your childhood? Are you suffering from inattention? Are you suffering from loneliness? Are you suffering from grief? It's different for everyone. We have to identify before we process what we want to heal. The precursor to healing is intention. We have to be intentional about what we're healing. So first, identify that. Second aspect is self-inquiry. Where are we in our spiritual journey? How deep is your connection to Source? How deep is your connection to God? How deep is your connection to Allah? Whatever it is that you believe in. Because our life is based on our belief system. And this infinite nature of who we are, we're not meant to suffer alone. Sometimes we need help. And we have to transfer this suffering and ask for help from the Creator. The One, the All. So your connection with Source energy really, really matters. And the next is self-care. How are you taking care of yourself? Are you nurturing to yourself? And Love and Healing contains 75 exercises of self-care. Exercises to get you into alignment. Exercises to get you in alignment with your mind, your body, your heart, and spirit. That's called universal alignment. You ever see the bodybuilders in the gym and they build up these big bodies, but if you get to know them, maybe they're less developed in other areas? Let's get into alignment where we're working on the spiritual aspects of who we are, where we're working on our mindsets, where we're getting rid of a limitation or a lack mindset and getting empowered with a victory mindset. We're here to win.
Yes.
We're here to unite ourselves. We're here to grow. And this journey of healing is about shedding light on the aspects of ourselves that were previously unlovable. There's some things that happen in our childhood that leave us with regret, that leave us with shame, that leave us with blame, that leave us with a lack of forgiveness for ourselves, a lack of self-love for ourselves. Some of us don't even believe that we're attractive or we're valuable because some people see themselves as too big or too small, too skinny, too fat, too smart, too dumb. You're just where you are, and none of us are perfect. This journey is not about perfection. I'm not perfect. Perfection is only an idea that you're believing in. Who you are is enough. And if we can go back in time and heal the traumatic events that shape these misbeliefs that we're believing in today, we grow. We grow into our infinite self, full power, full activation of who we are. Part of the reason that we're not doing the things that we want to do and accomplish the things that we want to have and the job that we want to have or the home that we want to have or the partner we want to have is because we're not fully healed from the past. Imagine who you are if you're fully healed from your past. So it's about identifying what happened in your past. I'll give you a brief example on my own. When I was in 7th grade, I was badly burned on my face. I suffered 2nd and 3rd degree burns because my best friend dropped a bottle of dilute hydrochloric acid onto a science table and it splashed onto my face. This is a time where I was developing my image of myself. And I had to suffer through these burns for about 1.5 years before they went away. I was self-conscious. Is anybody here self-conscious? I was covering my face when I talked to people. I was giving them a tell of my insecurity with who I was. But you know what? Inside of each traumatic episode is a lesson and a blessing. And the lesson that I learned was that accidents happen. I wasn't responsible for this. Yet I held the shame and the grief of being responsible for this. I thought somehow it was my fault. So I realized that it wasn't my fault, and worse still, my best friend did it to me. And I had two choices. I had a choice to forgive him or to hold a grudge. And at the young age of 12 or 13, I decided to forgive him because I needed his friendship. You see, forgiveness is the fragrance that Violet shed on the very heels that crushed it. Forgiveness heals. That's how we grow. Forgiveness opens the door for love. And what's better is it relieves you of carrying this bitterness. Bitterness consumes the vessel that contains it. Don't leave this earth bitter. Find it to forgive in your heart. I was speaking to a colleague and a friend not too long ago, and he shared his story of his childhood trauma. When he was 5 years old, he was sexually assaulted repeatedly by the very people that were entrusted to watch him. Imagine. Trauma to a child is the worst thing imaginable. Whether it be verbal trauma, physical trauma, abandonment, neglect, or sexual trauma, unimaginable. And these scars, he's carried his entire life. So we did an exercise together. I asked him to go back, painful, to this regression analysis and look into his childhood and to speak to this 5-year-old version of who he was. This is his inner child. Many of us are locked in our trauma with our inner child. We stop development whenever this trauma happens. And you see, the trauma, the scar from trauma happens when your body and your central nervous system is unable to handle whatever's happening to you. It's called dissociation. Simply, he was too young to activate the sense of fight or flight. He was too small to fight and too young to flee. And so we suffer. There's a frozenness that happens to us. I liken it to when a child suffers from a night terror of the boogeyman in the closet. And instead of being able to run out of the room, you become frozen. You feel like you can't move, you can't speak, you can't find your voice. This frozenness is what I'm speaking of, which is dissociation. And that's what happened to him in his event. And that's what causes the scar around your heart, the scar that we're living with. But it's not a permanent scar. You see, around that scar is a very sensitive area. And that sensitive area is what other people don't know you're going through, and they trigger a memory back to when you were the inner child, and it activates the same emotions that you had when you suffered your trauma. Many of us are triggered when people say things to us, and it goes back to the event that happened to us as an inner child. But if you can recognize it, then you can separate it from it. And if you can separate from it, then you can heal it. And if you can't heal it, then you can pour elixir in it, and that elixir is love. That elixir is forgiveness. When I asked him what would he say to his inner child, the first thing he said is, I would say, it's not your fault, little man. What happened to you in your childhood was not your fault. It wasn't your fault. And you can release, you can find some separation from your trauma in that. You don't have to carry the shame or the blame or the guilt of something that happened to you. And the second thing I asked him, what else would you say? And he said, it's going to be okay, little man. Whatever happened to you in the past, it's going to be okay. And it's going to be okay because now we see it. And because now we're not that same child anymore. We can heal things from our current state of being, which is an elevated state of being, an enlightened state of being, one that understands how to heal and one that understands how to love. But only you can heal your suffering. A psychiatrist can't heal your suffering. A therapist can't heal your suffering. But you can heal. You have been a healer since the day you were born. You've been healing people with your smile. You've been healing people with your presence. You've been healing people by listening to their problems. We're all healers here. But now the task is to heal yourself. Give love to yourself. Forgiveness is a fragrance. It's a blessing of life. And that's how we learn how to love ourselves more. To love the unforgivable aspects of who we were. My great friend Jeff Foster, spiritual leader, told me that true courage is the ability to sit with your dark emotions without trying to change them. Amen. Sitting with your fear. Fear of flying, fear of heights, fear of dying. You don't have to change those fears. When you sit with your dark emotions without trying to change them and befriend your inner child and befriend your shadow self, that's how we grow. Once again, we're casting light, we're casting love onto the unlovable aspects of who we are. How powerful. You have this power. And when we do that, we become more loving beings and we become a magnet for love. It troubles me how many people are living in loneliness, how many people don't have partners to go through life, how many people that are looking for love and can't find love. And we have to ask ourselves, how have we shown up in love in the past? The history will only repeat itself if we don't examine how we love. When you loved in your past relationship and it didn't work out, who were you? What habits did you bring into that relationship? How much of yourself did you bring into that relationship? Did you come in with your addiction? Your addiction to gambling? Your addiction to eating? I'm an emotional eater. Guilty. But when are we going to recognize the unconscious aspects of who we are and turn them into conscious light? That's where transformational change is. That's where your power is. Your power here is to shift and transform into a greater version of yourself every single day. That is the power. In my love life, before I met my beautiful wife, Olivia, my unconscious behavior was that I was not vulnerable. I tended to operate from my ego, from control. I wanted to control love. I wanted it to arrive when I wanted it to arrive, and I wanted it to stop when I wanted it to stop. This degree of selfishness will never reach unconditional love. I will never find a spiritual partner had I not changed myself, my view upon love. You see, there's some aspects of love that hinder us. And one of them is you have to ask yourself, was I a runner or a chaser? Were you running after love and commitment, or were you running from love and commitment? I was running away from love and commitment and expected love to work for me. How did that work out? Not so well. So if you want to attract love to us, you have to identify what relationship you're in. Some wonderful people here are probably givers, probably give more than they take in. And the problem with being a giver is that you can deplete yourself. And no one wants a partnership with someone who's depleted themselves. So if you've been giving away too much, you have to learn to create a balance for yourself and self-care and self-love. Some people are attracted to relationships that are very volatile because it reminds them of a pattern that they've suffered from in their lives, from their childhood. And we have to remove ourselves from those situations that are toxic. Those situations that you're suffering from physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, neglect. You deserve to be loved. You deserve the real love that you came here for that still remains in your idea, and it's not too late for you to have it. You can still have the love that you want. But first, you have to become the love that you're seeking. Work on yourself. What are you putting into your mind? Positivity? Negativity? Let's become more loving versions of ourselves. That's how we attract our spiritual partner. My spiritual partner is here right now. She's Olivia. And the reason I point her out is because she came in my life when I had made a commitment to change. I was coming out of a toxic relationship, and so was she. See, so sometimes the end of a relationship is fertile ground for the creation of a new one. And I had decided that I would communicate better, that I wouldn't attempt to control the relationships, that I would be vulnerable. But about a year into our relationship, we broke up. And we broke up for one reason. I had reverted to the same person that I was before, the same habits of control, of not releasing the vulnerable aspects of my heart. See, unconditional love lies in your sacred heart. We all have that ability to give it, but the question is, are you going to be vulnerable enough to expose it to someone else? You see, vulnerability is not the key to love. Vulnerability is the door that love walks through. And if you can't get vulnerable, you can't have it. Your soulmate energy will not be there for you. But gratefully enough, the breakup only lasted 3 days. It's because we both cried like a baby. We both missed each other's hearts so much that we knew it was right. But when we got back together, I promised to be communicative with her. I promised to check in with her. I promised to be honest and trusting. How many people are honest and trusting in a relationship and give their 100% to their partner? Not many.
Not many.
And I promised to give her my heart with the understanding that she wouldn't crush it. I trusted her, and it was likewise. And that's how we built a relationship, and that's how we're 15 years in and 4 children deep into this relationship. The same relationship that I found in my life, I thank her for. She opened my heart to greater love because she has an appreciation for love. She breathes love, and her love opened a giant sinkhole in my heart, which enabled me to pour a love for her, a love for my children, a love for my friends, a love for humanity itself. That's why I'm here before you today. I love you guys, and I want you to live a better life. I want you to grow. I want you to reach your inner peace. I wish wisdom for you. I wish understanding for you. Let go of the shame, the blame, the guilt, the fear that you're operating from, and operate from an abundance mindset. Open your heart to love. Affirm with me. Raise your hand. I open my heart and release shame.
I open my heart and release shame.
I open my heart and release blame.
I open my heart and release blame.
I open my heart and release guilt.
I open my heart and release guilt.
I open my heart to forgiveness.
I open my heart to forgiveness.
I open my heart to healing.
I open my heart to healing.
And I open my heart to unconditional love.
And I open my heart to unconditional love.
It's been a pleasure being here with you guys today. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to your hearts and to your souls. I'm touched and moved. Thank you.
Thank you.
And you have to sit down and read through them, which I really love. But you can just open up to a page and just get, wow, that's what I needed to hear right now. That's what I needed to know in my life in this moment. That's what I like about the book.
Thank you. She touched on something very important. And I didn't know I had a gift of writing before. It was discovered when I started sharing my poetry and my writings with my wife and children and social media. And people began to see that there was a connection between us all. And I want to say that the book is infused with the oneness of our souls, the oneness of our beings. I went through a spiritual transformation, still going through that transformation today. And as many of us are, I put that charge into the book. So literally you could open it to any page. And I trust that the universe has the information that you need to meet you wherever you're holding yourself on that day.
I want one.